Tune in, it's time for Comedy G. Bringing stars and stories, it's where you wanna be. From celebs to entrepreneurs, she's got the scoop. Community and entertainment, she's in the loop. Every smile a burst of velvet light. Through the screen she shines so bright. With the laughs and tales that weave tonight.
Well, welcome to another episode of SKST Radio, and you tuned into the Cammie Grayson Show. I'm Cammie Grayson, your host, and I am so excited. I have a new special friend. I think I met him a couple of months ago, and if y'all saw the interview that this guy did on myself and Beats by Bro and Street Grind Entertainment, you'll know who this guy really is, this icon really is. But he goes by the name of Cap. And so I'm going to say, Cap, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for
having me. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, Cap, okay, I want to know everything.
Well,
everything. Can I learn everything?
You can do that. Hey, I'm pretty transparent. I'm pretty transparent at times.
Are you really?
Yeah, no. yeah. You hear me? I said, yeah, no.
Yeah, no. I got to yell, yeah, but no type thing.
Yeah,
huh?
No. Yeah.
Okay, so tell people who you are and what you do.
Okay. My name, I go by Cap, like she just said. I'm located out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Been doing music for the last 25 to 30 years. Run my own professional recording studio. So I am a studio owner / producer first, then engineer second, then musician third, and then artist is way down the line. So that'll probably be like the fourth line right there. So I'm kind of all of those jobs rolled into one.
Wow.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. So you do all this by yourself, or do you have a team?
I do it all by myself.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So how did you get started?
Well, I got started. I like my bio said, I started rapping, in high school, and that's when hip hop was just rolling in, and that was in the late 80s. And then I was like, oh, okay, I can do this. And, they tell you nothing about the game, how to get into it, just all of the good stuff, right? And so my whole journey led me to this journey that I'm in presently, and so I know that sounds like a quantum leap, but it's not. First, you start rapping and you do the shows and you're trying to get signed, and then you look up and you go, wait a minute, these guys ain't really making that type of money, you know what I mean, that I want or I like, unless you hit it big, you know what I mean? And so I was everywhere, I was in New York, I was in Cali, I was in Atlanta, I was in Denver, I was in Houston, I was in Dallas, I was everywhere. And, then one day I kind of woke up and I said, instead of chasing it, let me start selling it. And so I started selling my services, and then that flipped the light switch, and then everything just kind of changed at that moment right there. So that's when things started kind of moving. And then, after a while, then I said, well, you know what? I might as well go full fledged with it. I can't wait till I'm 60. You know what I mean? So I said, let me just go and go. And I took the leap of faith, and I'm here.
And that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about that leap of faith.
Okay.
First of all, tell us about the type of people you worked with when you got started, the type of different people when you first started.
Okay. When I first got started, my classmate, he actually got signed to Queen Latifah record label, Flavor Unit Records, from back in the day. And we was working prior to him leaving in New York, and he everybody says, hey, when I'm making, I'm gonna send for you, I'm gonna come get you. Everybody say that, right? And and then out the blue, maybe like 2 years or a year and a half after he was gone. He just calls me out the blue. He goes, "Yo, I'm about to sign with Queen Latifah, yada yada yada." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Nah." I thought he was lying, and he was like, "Nah, this is facts." And he was like, "Look, I want your whole group," because I was with a group at that particular time, and he's like, "I want your whole group to come, and a couple of other guys from the city to come." And he said, "Look, you're in charge. You're the captain. That's where CAP come from. You're the captain, and you're in charge. And so you're going to make sure that everybody gets to the airport, get on the plane, and get here. But when we're done recording the songs, I'm going to send everybody back, but you're going to stay." And I was like, "Huh? What do you mean?" Yeah. He was like, "Yeah, you're going to stay." I was like, "Well, what I'm going to do?" He was like, "You want to get into business, right?" I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Well, this is it right here." And I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "Well, what do I do for bread? Like, I got to get a job or something?" He said, "You get a job, stay at the house. I'll send you back home if you want to get a job." He's like, "Nah, your job is the music. That's what you're going to be doing." And I said, "Oh, okay, cool." So I moved up to New York. And by the way, that's when I had found out that I was expecting my first child.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. I'm still in hot water for that shit, but but that's how to go, because I did not want to live with regrets, seeing what coulda, shoulda, or what if I did or if I didn't.
Right.
So I said, well, I was still hella young. I was 24. Yeah, I was 24 years old. And so I said, well, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna thug it out. So, and that's exactly what it was. I think it was like 18 of us in a 2-bedroom apartment. The manager, the manager and his wife had one room, and the studio was in the other room. And so it was bodies in the living room. It was bodies on the balcony. If it was summertime, it was bodies. I mean, we slept up under the console of the mixing board in the studio room. So, but if but if you came home late, you did not. You would. I slept in the chair a few times. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so. But that's when you're young, you paying dues, you feel like, okay, and that's just kind of how it was and stuff. And so to make a long story long, we started going to he would have to go to the company, go to Flavor Unit. And that's when I started meeting a lot of the artists. The first, few artists that I met was Apache, rest in peace, he's gone now, but then Chip Fu from the Fushnikins, Tretch from Naughty by Nature, just a whole lot of people that was really, really, really cool people, and then, you find out these cats, this is their job, this is what they do, it is no starstruck or nothing like that. Only person I got starstruck was for Queen Latifah, but that was it.
I can see that though. She's hot.
Yeah, she was hot at the time. I didn't know that the show was recorded in California, not in New York. And so every time my partner was like, "Yo, you want to go to Flavor Unit?" I was like, "Yeah, let's go," because I'm thinking, yo, I'm about to meet Queen Latifah,
Yeah.
And it was like a whole year before I met Queen Latifah, because she was never at the office, because she was living in California at that particular time. Yeah.
Gotcha. So now, who else have you worked with?
Well, like so many stories and stuff. So, okay, so the first major artist that we worked with, or that I had opportunity to working with, was LL Cool J. His attorney was our company's attorney, and our manager woke us up one day and was like, "Yo, clean the apartment up," because it was all the time, 18 people there, right? And he goes, "Yo, LL Cool J is coming to the apartment tonight. He wants to do a song with you guys." And I was like, I was the first one leading the charge. I was like, "Man, LL is not coming here, man. We are living in the hood. I mean, the elevator don't work sometimes. You got to use the stairs." I said, LL is not coming here. He came.
Wow.
Yeah. And by himself. No bodyguards, no shooters, no nothing. Just, he was a real cool dude. This was during the time when he did the football movie, Any Given Sunday, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when he came. Yeah, so he was he's a big guy too. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's the first cat that we got to work with professionally, and then Nonchalant. Flavor Unit used to manage a whole lot of different artists. They might have not been signed directly to Flavor Unit Records, but Flavor Unit managed them. So that's your Monica's, your Tretch, them, the Naughty by Nature, Nonchalant. I mean, Fusnickens, all of these people that they had a big roster of people that they managed. So Nonchalant, she's actually from DC, and so we were kind of like the new kids on the block without being little white boys, And so they said, well, hey, let her work with these guys. So she came out to the house, By that time, my partner had got his deal, and we had moved from the 2-bedroom apartment to this house in the suburbs in Long Island. Okay. And I think it was, Freeport. We was actually in Freeport at that particular time. So we had moved on up like the Jeffersons. Okay. So, we had stairs, downstairs, the studio had its own room and everything. So it was pretty fly. So we had a little lake out in the back and everything. So yeah, it was a fly pad. So she came out there, and so in the house it was probably about 12 different producers. Okay, so it was 12 producers. We had pop producers, we had R&B producers, we had gospel producers, hip hop producers. So it was just an array of producers that she had she could work with. But somehow she took a liking to me, and then she was like, hey, she said, is there any place that we can go get something to eat? I said, yeah. So we walked to Dunkin' Donuts, and on this walk to Dunkin' Donuts, she's talking to me, and she's like, hey, you know that song by Nate Dogg, One More Day? I said, yeah. She's like, can you make me something like that? I was like, yeah, I could do that. You know what I mean? But the politics in the game, so you got the game, and then you got the game that's inside of the house. And, apparently I was overstepping my bounds when I said, yes, I can do that, because she wasn't really assigned to me. She was assigned to the main producer to do the track that's in a house. Okay. And so, I was in a meeting every week because, I was always breaking the rules, let them tell it. Right. But I just thought this was natural. This is how it was supposed to be. So I was like, yeah, I could do the track. And so we go back to the studio, and then the guy's like, hey, Cap, let me talk to you. And I'm like, yeah, what's up? He was like, yeah, man, I'm supposed to be doing the track and the beat for old girl, yada yada. Whoop, whoop. I said, oh, okay, cool, no problem. I said, I'll just leave. He said, okay, cool. So we dap it up. He goes inside, she goes inside, and I'm getting ready to actually leave from the bottom to go back up to the top. And she goes, where you going? I said, he's going to produce the track for you, not me. She was like, oh no, don't go nowhere. Yeah. You own this track. Yeah, I want you on this track. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I ended up playing guitar on the track. So yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. Well, that's good though. I mean, obviously she liked what she heard and saw, right?
Yeah. So yeah. That was cool.
So what's the most exciting time that you've had in your music career before you started doing it?
Before I started going, just being independent wise?
Yeah.
There's so many. Maybe, yeah, because, we was everywhere, they used to have a conference called the How Can I Be Down? It was kind of like Jack the Rapper, but it was a spinoff of that. How Can I Be Down? And that was off in Florida, right? Miami, Florida. And so everybody that's in the business would ascend on Florida, right? And so it would be, Method Man them on mopeds, just, Red Man them walking around, Tretches them at the bar, so we was there and, had to perform a few nights. I think we was there for 3 nights. And, we had to perform. My partner had to perform. So, and we was backing him up. You know what I mean? I was, lightweight / security for him too. You know what I mean? So yeah, you know, we was backing him up. So you know,
Yeah, you
it
have
was
to wear a lot
cool.
of hats in those days, right?
Huh?
You have to wear a lot of hats in those days.
Yeah, you do, and you did. You know what I mean? But you know, like I say, we were so young. We were just kind of young and kind of rambunctious, you know. And you know, I mean, I'm not. I don't start anything, but I'm ready to set it off. You know what I mean? You know, you know. And I thought I was gonna have to in DC. Well, you know, that was pretty exciting. I jumped off the stage. You know, somebody was throwing stuff on stage and stuff. So you know, I mean, but you get these little incidents. You know what I mean? You know, so you just got to handle yourself with a little poise. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to learn more from Cap about the actual music side and about his business. He'll tell us all about his business and how you can get the opportunity to work with this superstar.
Yeah.
So we'll be back with these messages.
From the heart of the coast where the waves rise high, they magazine we lift and amplify. Stories of love, of strength, of pride. Giving back, standing tall, side by side. We are the rhythm, we are the voice. Community rising, making bold choice. On short drive, we shine, we soar. They magazine forever, evermore.
All right. If you just tuned in, you haven't tuned in too late. You tuned in to the Cammie Grayson Show. And I have a very special guest on with us tonight, and he goes by the name of Cap. And Cap is like the number one. He does music producer. He writes. He does everything in one box. And so we're learning and we're picking his brain tonight and finding out, you know, what life is really like being a music producer. Cap, did we catch you
Yes.
eating?
Not eating, just chewing.
Just chewing.
Yeah, just chewing.
Just okay. I'll let you chew that up real quick, and then the question I want to pose to you at this point is, you know, there's a lot of people who think that they have it. You know, they think that they are studio material, and how do you go about working with someone that's really not studio material?
Okay, that's a good question. The fact of the matter is, everybody that has a laptop has a studio. Everyone that has, you know, access to the Guitar Center to get Pro Tools, to get a mic, to get a interface, and where things used to cost thousands of dollars almost 15 years ago, 20 years ago, now a couple of $100, you in the game. Okay, but you're on entry level, and it's you know, it's like millions of you. You know what I mean? And in order for you to move up so you can be heard or seen, you have to be consistently showing up. I think that's the most important thing that up and coming or solidified artists today can do. You have to be consistently showing up. Now, you can keep showing up bad, and you know the opportunities won't come. But if you show up good, you know the opportunities will start making its way to you. Then you'll be able to take advantage of that, and then you know you'll start going, okay, look, the reality of this is, you know, we've been tricked from the inception of the music business. Okay.
Mhm.
And that is because you know they look at, you know, they was looking at blacks as kids even though full grown, right? And so what they do, they give you a trinket, a bobbit, and goes, hey, this is valuable and this is important, not knowing you can't sell it, it's not worth anything, you can't put it on the stock market, you can't do any of that, right?
Right.
And it's just a symbol of an accomplishment that you have you know, created, right, or made, right? However, they get the money, you get the trinket. You see? So when you start looking at that, and then you go, wait a minute, Grammys doesn't mean anything. You know, hell, the star on the Walk of Fame cost $75K.
Wow.
That's another trinket. You understand what I'm saying? Like, who's getting the money? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, they got the money to give, but if you're honoring me, shouldn't I be getting something of value? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And something walking a piece of sidewalk for people to step on, I don't consider that too valuable. Yes, it's a prestigious honor to have that or a recommendation of that, but think about that just for a moment. You're giving up $75,000 just to have a star on a walk of fame, right? You sell 2.5 million records, but you don't even have 20 grand in the bank account. You understand what I'm saying? You know, these are the tricks that has been played on blacks, you know, because, and the reason why I say blacks, because everything is built off us and off our backs. You know what I mean? From the TV, you know, shows to the radio stations to anything is built off of backs. Okay. So to keep going about that answer, but you know, I think a lot of times, you know, people, you know, we feel like, oh, I'm talented, I'm good, you know, I'm great. Yeah. Well, imagine all of us being from planet Krypton and we all come to Earth. So we all have superpowers, right?
Right.
Okay. So that's just kind of what it's like.
And
You know
that's
what I mean?
common, you know.
It's super common for us. You understand what I'm saying? For us, it's super common because we all we all possess these different talents, different levels. You know what I mean? And you know, some more than others. You know, but now where things used to be so rare, like you know, if you went to a little church in Mississippi back, you know, 30, 40 years ago, and this little kid is playing a keyboard and he's a, you know, prodigy, right? That was amazing. You know, now you get on TikTok, it is a million of these kids, you know, that are amazing. It's not
Right.
rare anymore. You know what I mean? But here's the thing, once again, they are into the music side 90% and 10% the business side, which should be really flipped around. And it should be in the business side 90% and 10% in the music side.
So do you think that our people lacking the education in that aspect?
Or when you say education, can you expound on
Well,
that?
you know, everybody wants to be seen and heard. You know, they want to be famous and celebrity status,
Right.
but they don't really have the knowledge or the know-how to balance the checkbook, you know, or to invest their money or
Okay.
even save money, you know, at
Right.
this point.
Yeah,
So
I
do you
think.
think, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Now I was about to repeat my question. So do you think that it's because of lack of education?
You know what? That's definitely true. I mean, I think it is because there's a lack of education. However, more so there's this fantasy of this notion that once I sign, everything is going to be made right. Okay, you know, and it doesn't matter how old they are, 4 to 40 to 400. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. Excuse me. It doesn't matter because they feel that once I sign on the dotted line, you know, I'm going to get this, I'm going to be able to get that, I'm going to get this. Yeah, you can get it, but you owe it. You know what I mean? And you owe it out of your percentage, not out of the sales. So if your percentage of the records that you sell, right? We're speaking back in the day, and then I'll come up to the
Right.
current streaming thing. But if you go, okay, well, your percentage is only 12%. Okay, so you only get 12% out of all record sales. Okay, right. So if the album costs $1 million to make, if you had an advancement, see, not a bonus, but an advancement off of your
Yeah.
future royalties, right? And that was 500,000, right? So that's $1.5 million, right? And then you have to go on tour and you have to get a band, you have to do all that. So let's just say it's an even 2 million, but you pay that back out of your 12%. Right. So after you pay that back out of your 12, you won't, you know, unless you go super duper platinum, which most artists don't the first time, second time, maybe third time. It's rare, but it can happen. Uh, it's just this fantasy, you know, about, you know, the checks and balances, about, you know, not knowing that They should know. Nothing's free. Like you
Right.
know what I mean? Like nothing is free. No one is giving you anything. You know, that is a loan with high interest rates. Okay. You know, yeah,
Right.
you know, you can't even afford it. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest with you, you know, you'd be better getting a job, working, that's why, you know, today with the independent thing is so dope. You know, you don't. Jimmy Iovine was just on TikTok saying, you know, I mean, we've been knowing this, but he's like, yo, there's no reason for record companies to exist. You know, artists, I mean, it's direct to consumer now. You know, we don't need trucks, taking records and CDs and everything. Everything is just streaming or send it to the email and boom, you got it, right? Download
Right.
it, you bought it, right? So that's where we at now. So I just think that this fantasy or this love affair that most people have with the music business is just super crazy, man. Like, and then it's emotionally driven instead of business driven.
Yeah.
What you feel is right does not mean that that's business. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
oh, that's wrong. I should have got this. And he said he was gonna give me that. What, did you get it? Nah. Well, you wasn't getting it. You know what I mean?
You didn't even get it in writing or
you
verify that it was in writing,
this
so
this
that's
is
the
true.
education part, right?
This is true. This is true. See, so business, right? And this is, I always say this to all my people, the process is interchangeable, okay? But the product is. So it doesn't matter if it's music, if it's you're selling cell phones, laptops, cars, whatever. That process still remains the same. You see what I'm saying? And so
Yeah.
it just goes through the things that it needs to go through, in order for it to be successful and have some type of success, So, that's kind of how it is. Uh, the business part is the most unsexiest part of the music game. And that's why
Yeah.
a lot of people do not like to mess with it. They just don't, no PRO, no sound exchange, no MLC, you know what I mean? Nothing, I mean, work with artists, that's been in the game for 20 years and they don't have a writers or a publishing company. That is crazy to me. Like, I've never heard nothing like that before. And then don't want to get it. That is the most craziest part about it. They don't even want to get it. They like, nah, I'm good. I'm really out. Yeah, you don't want your money? I'll take it. You know what I mean? But then
Well, see, and I
go
think
ahead.
I think that's what's so important, though, Cap. I mean, people, they have to understand that you're not going to get anything for nothing, right?
Right.
And if you don't take the time, people rob you blind. I mean, I'm a big victim over here,
Okay.
because we have established our company here in the podcast studio, and a lot of people walk through just to see what we're doing so they can recreate it or make theirs better than ours.
Right.
And so that to me was, it was devastating to realize that's what people were really doing.
Right. Right.
And so I'm a business major. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
Yeah.
everything is not in textbook. Everything's not
Okay.
in textbook. So a lot of
That's
stuff you
true.
don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. You won't know until you actually start doing it.
Right.
That's the unforeseen things that they come up. That's pretty common that nobody mentions it. Nobody tells you or pull your coattail to you and be like, hey, this is coming down the pipeline, watch out for this or watch out for that. So it's just one of those things. But I don't know, this music thing has been around since the 40s and the 50s, and the same tricks is still being played on artists. Like, it's really crazy. And at some time we have to stop blaming the company and start blaming the artist, okay? Because it's not
Right.
the artist, it's not the companies, it's the artists. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, it's the artist. So I don't like to get too deep in it and start pointing fingers, because every individual contract and situation has its own situation. But for the most part, when an artist is, online, and we talking about known artists, I'm not gonna name her name, but she goes, oh, I've been doing this for a long time. I shouldn't be. Yeah, but you took that advance. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You bought that house. You know what I mean? You got to pay for it. Your album with wood, it didn't even do nothing. You know what I mean? So you got to do shows so you can get the money back to the people who gave it to you, or
Right.
they're gonna come and get your stuff. So
And that's pretty much how it is, cut and dry, right?
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's pretty much. There's a few things that kind of might not be that way, but for the most part, that's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is.
So, Cap, so what is the biggest challenge you have being a music producer right now?
What I like to say, I don't have any challenges, but if I was to say that I had challenges, I would say the biggest challenge now is what I mentioned before. 20 years ago, I was, I was like King Pharaoh or somebody. You dig? I mean, everybody
You was a bomb.
came. Yeah, well, yeah, I specialize in giving you that, you dig? So,
Right.
now, I've been in the game so long. My partner's kids have came to my studio, and they're full grown now. You see what I'm saying? So it's wild, man. It's wild. I look young, but I'm not young. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's cool. It's cool. But that would probably be the biggest challenge right there. It's just that now, what once were, it was a coveted position to have and be and do, and used to be like, oh, he's a music producer. Oh, for real? Now I'd be like, that ain't nothing. My little cousin, he'll produce it too. You know what I mean? There you go.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
everybody have titles now, right?
Everybody has titles. Everybody has titles. And the funny thing is, they could be telling the truth in this day and time. You used to think cats was lying when they was like, yeah. I used to have a partner. He was a singer, and we used to think he was lying all the time. I put my hand on the Bible. I swear he was lying all the time. But he had a very distinctive voice. And then one day I was listening to Rich Boy, and I heard him singing the hook on Rich Boy. You throw some D's on it, Rich Boy. I heard him singing the hook on one of the songs on Rich Boy's album. I was like, oh, that's Mike. What's good? That's dope. So I called him and I was like, yo, congratulations. I heard you on Rich Boy. Oh, hey, thanks, Cap, man. I appreciate it, man. Hey, right now, I can't talk, man. I'm about to get ready to go on stage with Lauryn Hill, man. We're in Africa.
Dude.
I thought he was lying in. I thought he was lying in. He wasn't lying. He was on stage. He was in Africa with Lauryn Hill. He was a background singer for Lauryn Hill. So nowadays, when somebody be like, yeah, I just got through talking to such and such, or I worked with such and such, and they could very well be telling the truth now. Yeah. That's the time that we're living in now, in today. So that's really cool. I think that's super cool right there.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So can you tell our listeners and viewers, if they wanted to get into the music aspect of everything, what steps do they, not all the steps, don't give all your secret sauce away, but just tell them the advice you would give them of how to get started?
Okay. Pretty much kind of like we had said earlier today, first, I know you might not know anything about registering, but you have Google, you have ChatGPT, you have all of these AI companies and websites that you can punch that in, but you want to get registered with a PRO, which is either ASCAP or BMI. Then you want to get registered with Sound Exchange. Then you want to get registered with the MLC. Once you get this taken care of first, that's the business part. Then you can go straight into doing music, It's pretty simple now. Like I say, you don't have to wait for someone to put you on or anything like that. Look, you only need one slice of the pie. in order for you to have some form of success doing what you do. And so when you look at it like that, instead of trying to get the whole pie, trying to get the whole pie will drive you crazy, bankrupt you, and put you on skid row. Okay. So just concentrate on the one slice and make sure that it's got plenty of pepperoni, plenty of Italian seasoning on it, and extra cheese and all that, and Parmesan. And then guess what? Serve that to the people who likes that slice, and then rinse, wash, and repeat. That's all you got to do. It's super simple. Yeah.
Love it. So now, how does the AI world affect your life right now?
Okay. I embrace it. I embrace the AI. I mean, AI is just like, imagine if you would, the synthesizer. There was people. I mean, the same argument that they're having today about AI, they had about the synthesizer. They had about the drum machine. They had about any piece of new technology. You have purists and then you have innovators, right? And so you have to kind of be a hybrid of both of those so you can work. It's here. It ain't going nowhere. It's only going to get bigger. So you might as well find some type of way to make it work for you and use it as a tool that's in your toolbox. And so that's kind of what we do. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I have partners, who do tracks and stuff. The only thing right now, what's going on with the AI is, since it's kind of like the wild, wild west right now, is, the PROs and, I think, let me see. YouTube, they're like counseling producers channels that have AI generated beats, that counseling the whole channel. So you have to be careful with the AI, generated music. It can give you a good idea. Then you should be able to recreate the ideal to make it humanized and then upload what you need to upload. And that way you won't get no strikes or anything like that. So they have AI looking for AI. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah. So it's crazy, but like I say, they don't want you. They still haven't learned or found a way to control it or to have some type of cap on it. You know what I mean? Because like I say, these guys are making like 3 and 4 beat channels with hundreds and thousands of subscribers. So that means that they're generating anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 a month on a beat channel on YouTube. And YouTube is like, well, you didn't make it, so we're going to take it off. And that's what they've been doing. So, I advise any producer that's, if you produce it with AI, you might want to remake it a little bit, because if you don't and YouTube finds out, they will cancel your channel. Yeah. So, but I like it. Yeah.
Well, I think I embraced it from day one. Mm-hmm. And I think it really, I mean, as far as working in the work field, in the workplace.
Right.
Oh man, my production was triple.
Okay.
I can kick out letters and copyrights and all this stuff like crazy using AI. So I thought, and even my writing skills, just like, okay, you got this pad and pencil and you done wrote all this stuff down. Right. Now you type this stuff up and it's a whole different story. You don't even have to worry about trying to figure it out or how you want to promote it to get people to buy your music. It gives you the opportunity to let people how it can sound, or the possibility of what the song might sound like, So I'm very excited about AI, but also now that people have learned how to do it, that kind of kills my PR a little bit.
Yeah, well, see, every time technology comes in, people suffer.
Yeah.
People advance, and then you have people that suffer. Those that has been here suffer. Those are coming in, they are advancing. You know what I mean? So once again, I think you just have to find a way to bridge both worlds and make it work for you. Whatever works for you, and just do it that way. I'm definitely not against it, like I say, because I use it in a different way. I do more of a information, different, maybe CD covers and, different things like that, but I do have friends and partners that, do music, and they send it through there and it amps it and, it beefs it up and it sounds amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds amazing, like for real. Yeah.
I
Sounds
love it.
really good.
So, Cap, tell people how they could get in contact with you.
Well, you can get in contact with me. Let's see. You can go to my YouTube channel, which is Dolbybeats 405. You can contact me at, dolbybeats@gmail.com. That's the email. And, let me see. Yeah, that's probably about it. Yeah, that's it. I have so many different ventures. I'll be digital trapping. You know what I mean? So, but that's how you can get in contact with me. Have a beat site. I think I have over 500 beats at this present time on that site, and so it just works while I'm not working. You know what I mean? And so every week I'll throw maybe 4 or 5 beats on there. New ones. So. But that's cool. Yeah, that's taking advantage of the internet. You know what I mean? So it's working while I'm asleep. Try.
I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. Well, Cap, thank you so very much for sharing your specialty with our audience. I mean, you've been awesome. So thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Look.
Yeah, you're so professional. What?
My cheeks are tired of smiling.
What's wrong? What's going on?
I know, right? You have to have me smiling the whole entire time.
Is that bad or is that good?
That's good.
Oh,
but
okay.
I just feel like I've been smiling too much.
Well, I mean, I want to make you
even
smile.
my serious points was a smile.
Or was it? Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to look out,
Well, look, you look very professional. Okay. You sounded very, very professional. You asked very professional questions. A1 right there.
A1.
Yeah.
Well,
A1, most definitely.
Thank you, Cap. And so, guys, if you need some music, I think we just forwarded some information over for a client here in Virginia. So he's not stuck in Oklahoma. So if you need some music, some producing and things like that, he does work long distance. And so I guess I should say virtual. And so if you need anything, if Beats by Bro is can't help you, this is the person who we will be using as our backup. So you'll always have someone with us. We'll always, if we can't in-house it, we'll do a referral, and Cap is our chosen person to do our referrals with. So,
that's sweet.
Cap,
thank you
again.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. And we want to have you back. So this is not goodbye. This is like
okay. Well, make sure you tell Mike Ice and T Nice I said what up and hello. You know what I mean? So I hate
T Nice is home. T Nice is there.
Hey, T Nice.
And so he can hear you.
Oh, okay. That's what's up.
So, but they'll go back and look at this as well. So, sounds Cap, good. Thank you again. And you know what? I guess I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Okay, have a good one.
All right.
Bye.